guys, this is Lala Legacy, and welcome back to another episode of Cinderella Phenomenon. So, let's jump right back in. I stay quiet as the people that enter the dining hall begin to talk. How strange for this place to be empty at this time of day. There is a pause, and then another voice speaks up. You better have good news for me, Mithros. Sir Alcaster, Sir Mithros! Rod's hands tighten on my shoulders. Everything is as you requested, Sir Alcaster. There should be no issues. There better not be. You've disappointed me before, Mithros. I would be careful to not try my patience again. Yes, Sir Alcaster. Sir Mithros sounds oddly subservient. But why? The two of them are both ranked equally, and neither of them should have to answer to anyone other than the king. Unless Sir Alcaster truly is the witch and is forcing Sir Mithros to obey him with a spell. Wait a few minutes after I leave. We should not be seen together. I do not hear Sir Mithros respond, but I can hear Sir Alcaster leaving the room. Sir Mithros sighs out, but is otherwise silent when he leaves the room after a few moments. I exhale fully as the door finally closes behind Sir Mithros. This is bad. I was so engrossed in Sir Alcaster and Sir Mithros' conversation that I only just now realized that Rod is hovering over me. Hey, are you all right? Are you hurt? You look a little... Rod suddenly pauses as he notices our positions. He stares at me for a few moments, eyes wide. He scrambles out from underneath the dining table, and by the time I do the same, he is standing far away from me, his gaze fixed on the wall. He is bright red. It would be funny if I weren't sure I was the same color. Rod clears his throat. It seems that Sir Alcaster really is the witch if he has the ability to make Sir Mithros obey him. Lady Parfait should be told immediately. Rod turns on his heel to leave the dining room. Rod, wait! What? Or what? This is urgent, Princess. I can't just... When Viorica marries Deckman, will you die? Rod pauses for a moment, but I can tell from his pained expression that he will not speak. You're running out of time, Rod. My eyes flit between Sebby and Rod. What does that mean? Nothing. He turns away from me once again and starts walking away. Rod! There must be something in my voice that makes Rod stop because he turns to look at me. Please stop running away from this! What would knowing the answer achieve, Melody? Though Rod's words are harsh, his tone is soft. There's nothing anyone can do. Leave it alone, Melody. It's for the best. I cannot help but get mad at Rod's dismissive tone. I move toward him, frowning. How can you say something like that? You are not the only person that will... you are not the only person that will be affected if you keep refusing to do anything to break your curse. Can you imagine what your death would do to your sister, to your mother? Losing you would destroy them. Rod's face is suddenly inches away from mine. He places his hand to the wall behind me, caging me in. His face is flushed with anger, but the look in his eyes is tormented. My family has been dealing with the consequences of my actions for the majority of my life. Don't think that I don't know what effect my curse has on the people closest to me. Besides, I don't want to involve you in this too. His voice is a whisper, but I can still hear his words. Rod! Rod pushes away from me and stalks off as I stare after him. He says that, but then he still does nothing to try and break his curse. I do not understand him at all. What is stopping him? Rod is absent from the palace for the rest of the day, and returns only once the sun is set to prepare for the ball. I have not been able to talk to him since, but I assume that he has been to the Marchant to tell Delora and Parfait about our suspicions of Sir Alcaster being a witch. I hope they come up with an effective plan for dealing with him. The palace is not safe so long as he is here. The ball is just about to start that evening, and I have been asked to make sure none of the guests are lost in wandering the hallways. I have been walking around for a while, directing any late guests in the right direction. That should be everyone. But as I turn the corner, I notice two people lingering by a column. Excuse me, the throne room is. I pause when I look more closely at the two men in front of me. I recognize one of them instantly. What is Sir Alcaster doing outside the throne room, and who is that man he is with? Ah, Melody. Sir Alcaster gestures me toward him, and I approach warily. This is Varg. He is one of the guests for the ball. Varg steps aside his cape as he bows, and I curtsy and dip my head to hide my expression. I have not heard of a Varg, and why would he be bowing to a mere maid? Also, why is he wearing such an elaborate costume and mask? This is not a masquerade ball. If Varg is an acquaintance of Sir Alcaster, there is no telling what or who he truly is. Varg is one of the suitors for Princess Melanie. Would you please escort him to the throne room? I will be along shortly. Varg's politeness is even more suspicious. Of course, Sir Alcaster. I meet Varg's gaze briefly, and cannot help but frown at the way he is smirking at me. This way. Varg and I make our way toward the throne room. I cannot help but feel wary of the fact that he is following behind me where I cannot see him. If the maids are this lovely, the princess must be truly beautiful. Varg laughs as I grip my teeth at the sound. What? It was meant as a compliment. There's no need to look at me like that. Varg looks at me curiously. Are the maids not allowed to speak in this place? I have nothing to say. Not the most cheerful person on staff, are you? Thankfully, the doors to the throne room appear as soon as we turn a corner, and I do not have to come up with a response to his words. We are here. I gesture towards the throne room and move to leave, but Varg's voice stops me. You should at the very least, escort me inside and introduce me to the princess, don't you think? Isn't that what a maid should do? Technically, that is the announcer's job. But Varg came so late he probably already missed the introductions. I wouldn't want to think badly of any of the servants at the palace. I take a deep breath to calm myself down before turning towards the doors. Follow me. I can tell the moment I step into the room that the official introductions have already passed. Most of the guests have already begun to mingle and scatter across the throne room as the band sets up. No one notices when I walk into the throne room in front of Varg. I do not trust Varg, not if he is associated with Sir Alcaster. I might have the time to warn someone about him while he is distracted, but who? We are going to warn Melanie. My attention is quickly drawn to where Melanie is moving between groups of people, introducing herself and making light conversation. I know this will be frowned upon, but Melanie's safety must come first. I make my way quickly over to Melanie and curtsy just off to the side, trying to draw as little attention to myself as possible. Princess Melanie, may I have a word? Melanie is clearly shocked at my intrusion, but she masks it well. Excuse me, it seems my maid has something for me. I draw her closer to the walls where the crowd blocks us from view. I wasn't expecting you to be here, Melody. Not that I mind, but won't you get into trouble? There is no time for that. I take her hand in mine and look at her somberly. You have to watch out for this man in a mask. Sir Alcaster brought him to the ball. Why should I be worried then? I cannot exactly tell her that I think he is a witch right now. There are too many people looking. Just please be wary of him. I'm sure there's nothing to be worried about from anyone here, Melody, especially if Sir Alcaster is involved. On the contrary, if Sir Alcaster is involved, I would also recommend staying on your guard, Melanie. Rod? I turn in shock to see Rod suddenly standing beside me. You should trust Melody. Excuse me. I jump back at the sound of Varg's voice. Rod takes a step forward and places his hand on my shoulders to steady me. I don't believe we've been introduced. Varg looks at me for a few moments, but I say nothing. He eventually turns to Melanie, a wolfish smile on his face. My name is Varg, and you must be Princess Melanie. The tales of your beauty did not do you justice. Melanie flushes as Varg reaches for her hand. He presses a kiss to the back of it, still grinning. I can feel Rod tense behind me. May I have the first dance? Melanie bites down on her lower lip as she stares at him. I become acutely aware of just how quiet the throne room has become. She cannot refuse him with so many people watching her. I feel sick, but cannot bring myself to say anything more as Melanie puts her hand in Varg's. I accept, Lord Varg. The moment Melanie makes her way to the center of the dance floor, a man signals to the band and the musicians start playing. This feels wrong. I can only nod as I watch Varg pull Melanie closer. At first, it is just he and Melanie dancing, but then other couples gradually trickle in to join them. I do not like this at all. Rod and I watch in silence as the first dance continues on. I know for a fact that Rod must see the dreamy smile on Melanie's face as certainly as I can. When the music stops, both of us move as one towards Melanie. Even though the dance is over and Varg has released her, they still stand close together in the center of the room. The silence is interrupted when the double doors open and Sir Alcaster, along with 2 knights, stalk into the center of the room where Melanie and Varg stand. Their arrival causes an uneasy stir in the crowds. The king rises from his throne, eyebrows drawn. Alcaster, is there some kind of disturbance? Alcaster says nothing as the knights stationed around the room approach Melanie and Varg and stand around them, encircling them. Melanie's expression shifts from confusion to fear. The crowd becomes even more anxious. Alcaster, explain this! Alcaster briefly glances at him but says nothing. He turns back to his knights and snaps his fingers. The knights pull out their swords and point them at Melanie. I reach out to grab Rod's hand before he can make his way toward her. Rod, it is too dangerous! I know, but thoughtless actions have the potential to put Melanie in even more danger. Rod's only response is to tighten his grip on my hand. I place my other hand over his to reassure him, and slowly but surely his grip begins to loosen. I turn my gaze back to the king. Alcaster, stop this immediately! What do you think you are doing? Something I should have done a long time ago. I have been nothing but loyal to this kingdom, and all I have ever wanted was for Angiel to thrive. But ever since the queen died, this kingdom has become weak. It is because you are a weak ruler, Gennaro. What? The people were more productive back then, more disciplined during the late queen's reign. The kingdom has become less productive without fear to drive them. When there is power, there is order. Power is not something that should be needlessly used to control people. It is used to protect them. You, of all people, should know that. Sir Alcaster shakes his head. I, of all people, know that order is what makes a hierarchy stronger. I am only doing what is necessary. I am reorganizing the system. Hand over the crown, Gennaro. Sir Alcaster turns his head to Varg, who remains standing beside scared Melanie. You will obey me if you do not want your precious daughter harmed. Please, leave my daughter out of this. Melanie steps back, her eyes now brimming with tears. Varg, seize the princess! As soon as Sir Alcaster gives the order, Rod immediately lets go of my hand and rushes towards his sister. Rod, no! I quickly follow after him, but Rod suddenly stops in his tracks. I bump abruptly into his back. Rod? Varg. Sir Alcaster's booming voice echoes around the room, which has suddenly gone eerily silent. My eyes move to Varg, but he is standing motionless. What is happening? Finally, Varg smirks. He steps to the side, standing in front of Melanie as if to block her from view. Sir Varg! You must be delusional, old man. I am not letting you anywhere near the princess. The knight's next movements are a blur as they rush at Sir Alcaster. In mere moments, he has been disarmed and pinned to the ground. Several more knights have also appeared from behind to surround Sir Alcaster. A man emerges from in between the circle of knights. He moves to stand beside Varg and Melanie. Sir Mithros looks at Sir Alcaster disdainfully. What is the meaning of this, Mithros? We had a deal! The anger is now palpable in Sir Alcaster's flushed face. Did we now? Mithros, explain yourself! Sir Mithros drops to one knee in front of the king. Of course, your majesty. He raises his head slightly to look at the king. I have known for a while that the man you see before you is a traitor. I was even aware of his plans, but I could not tell you of them without any evidence. 2 of your knights had tried to inform you of these plans before, but we all looked down on them with disdain. I had to make sure that I did not come unprepared like they did. Jurian and Garland? What? Both of them knew of Sir Alcaster's plans. Was that the reason why they were dishonorably discharged for false accusations? I knew enough of his plan that I could thwart it. This was why I thought the best way to reveal his dastardly ways was to craft a fake alliance with him. Sir Varg and I have been working together to unravel Alcaster's plans, your majesty. Varg is an invaluable accomplice. Wait, so Sir Mithros has been pretending to work with Sir Alcaster this whole time? And so we arrive at the events of tonight. I apologize for undertaking this task without seeking your counsel, your majesty. But I could think of no better way to end this madness once and for all. You lying snake! Sir Mithros stands and turns to Alcaster. He gestures at him dismissively. Seize him. The knight's next movements are a blur. The men rush Sir Alcaster all at once, and in mere moments, Sir Alcaster has been disarmed and is now pinned to the ground. Wait, wasn't he already? Isn't Sir Alcaster a witch? Why is he not using his magic? Mithros, I am indebted to you for saving us. The whole kingdom is. I only did what was necessary, your majesty. The king glances at the knights, then at Sir Alcaster, his gaze steely. Take him away. Sir Alcaster struggles uselessly against the knights as they drag him away. He is nearly out the door when he starts screaming at the king. Gennaro, you are a fool! That man is a witch, a snake! You cannot trust him! No, Alcaster, I was wrong to put my trust in you. Even as Sir Alcaster is pulled from the room, we can hear him babbling in the hallways about a witch. Sir Alcaster never used magic to escape. Was he truly not a witch? Are you all right, princess? I am pulled from my thoughts when I hear Varg's voice. He is now trying to comfort a shaken Melanie. For a few moments, he looks away and his eyes meet mine. He smiles, but it is fleeting, and moments later his attention is back on Melanie. The ball comes to an abrupt end after Alcaster's stunt. He is thrown into a jail cell and promised a trial after a few days' time, where he will be tried for treason against the kingdom. I still can't believe Sir Alcaster would do something like that, and so brazenly, too. I wonder, what happened to Sir Fitzgerald? They say he vanished completely that night, or last night. Do you think he was working with his father? The truth is that I have no idea what to think. I had thought that I had everything figured out, but now I become more and more confused by the moment. Fritz was always loyal to a fault, but then Sir Alcaster was the same way with the king, and I have not seen or heard of Fritz for weeks. I cannot really say. Ah, good morning, Princess Melanie. Sir Varg! Varg was offered a room at the palace for a few days' visit. He is being treated as Sir Mithros' valued guest. I have heard from the other servants that he is Sir Mithros' relative who lives in a neighboring kingdom. I hope you are feeling well now, Princess. Yes, thank you for your help last night. Is Melanie blushing? I know I won't be here long, but I do hope to get to know you better during the duration of my stay. I would love that. Then I am looking forward to spending more time with you. Oh, I forgot that I am meant to be in my mother's room right now. Melanie, Sir Varg, I'll see you both later. But that is all the time that I have for this episode, guys. So if you liked it, please give it a big thumbs up down below. And if you haven't already subscribed, by subscribing, you're becoming part of a legacy. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye!